This is your USMNT Abroad season finale of the 2024-2025 season. Hello. If you're new here, I'm Filippo and welcome to Tactical Manager TV. And all good things must come to an end. And we pretty much ended the USMNT Abroad series a few weeks ago. But today, we're not going to do the weekend recap. We're going to do more or less a season recap. But it's not really a recap. Essentially, what's going to happen here is we're going to go through all the players that we've been covering all season long for the 2024-2025 season of the US Men's National Team Players Abroad. And I will rate their season from 1 to 10, 5 being average. So if I give a player a 5, it doesn't mean he was bad. It just means he was average. And keep in mind, we are only rating club performances, not national team. If we were to rate club and national team combined, every single player would automatically lose like 2 to 3 points. Yes, if you haven't noticed, they've been mostly crap for the national team. But with that said, don't forget to drop a like in this video if you haven't already. Thank you very much for supporting us throughout the entire season. And very soon we'll start the USMNT summer coverage. And don't forget the Tactical Manager Soccer Club will be playing in the TST this summer, June 4th to June 9th in Cary, North Carolina for $1 million. Okay, let's roll the intro and start the episode. And as always, we start with the top 5 leagues in Europe, the first one being the English Premier League. So let's go to England, and why don't we start with Chris Richards and Matt Turner from Crystal Palace. So Chris Richards has been a consistent starter for Crystal Palace this season. He was a consistent starter since the season's pretty much done. A team that finished mid-table in the Premier League and has made it to the FA Cup final. At the time of this recording, they're at the final, so they haven't played it yet. Maybe they even won it. Regardless, even if they lost it, they still made it to the final. I'm going to give Richards a 6.5 out of 10. The performances were solid, but not great. There were shaky moments here and there. However, 6.5 is still a very good season. Now, Matt Turner, the dude played cup games against like lower division teams. As soon as the level went up, Matt Turner was benched again. You got to give him a 1 out of 10. And honestly, I don't see how anyone can justify a different rating than simply a 1. Unless you're giving him a 0, but I don't give zeros because that's just mean. He was there, he was walking, he was cheering his teammates. He deserves more than a 0, like a 1. I get a 0. Matt Turner gets a 1. Next up is Anthony Robinson from Fulham. And A-Rob started the season flaming hot, but then he cooled off sometime around February, but he didn't really start having bad performances. He just went from great to good. A-Rob ended the season with 10 assists in the English Premier League, which is more than any other fullback in the league. Actually, it's more than most players in the league. Only Jacob Murphy from Newcastle and Mo Salah from Liverpool had more assists in the Premier League than Anthony Robinson. On top of all of the assists, he was also incredible defensively all season long, and for that reason, I'm giving A-Rob an 8 out of 10. Last but not least, in England, we have Tyler Adams from Bournemouth, and essentially this season, what I was hoping for Tyler Adams was for him to stay healthy. And he did stay healthy, and he became a locked-in starter for Bournemouth. And for the most part, he had some very good performances. Actually, he had average to good performances and a few very good. He might have had 1 or 2 bad ones. He was extremely consistent, played his role, and was quite good for Bournemouth when healthy, which was honestly most of the season, ever since he came back. And I know this may be too high of a rating, but I'm actually going to give Tyler a 7 out of 10. Let me know what you think. What rating would you give Tyler Adams? Because this is a tricky one, but I don't care. I'm giving him a 7. Okay, time to leave England and go to Italy so we can talk about the Americans in the Serie A, the Italian First Division. The first two being Christian Pulisic and Yunus Musa from Milan. So Pulisic had more than 25 goal contributions this season. He did well, but it felt like at times that he could have done more. He could have done better. Honestly, probably in a better team. He did outperform Rafael Leão and Theo Hernandez, which are supposed to be the 2 stars of this team. But let's keep in mind that Milan was also ass. They really were. It looks like they're not going to qualify for any continental competition. They did win a trophy. They won the Supercoppa Italiana for whatever that's worth. I don't think many people care about that. So props to them for winning a trophy. Now, Pulisic from an individual standpoint, this was the best season of his career. However, from a team's perspective, he did win a Champions League with Chelsea, so I wouldn't say this was the best from a team's perspective. And it's funny because you're going to say, when he won the Champions League, he was a very important player for Chelsea. And it's true. In the round of 16, quarterfinals, semifinals against Real Madrid, he was crucial to get them there. But he didn't even start the final for them because he wasn't a locked-in starter for that Chelsea side. This was definitely the best season Christian Pulisic has ever had. Hopefully next season is even better, maybe breaking 30 goal contributions if it's possible, right? He's going to play most games in the Serie A since they're not going to be in the Champions League. And even though Milan was terrible, I have to give Christian Pulisic an 8 out of 10. It was a very good season from him. He could have done better. He should have done better at times. But overall, he's not at fault for everything that happened with Milan. Yunus Musa, on the other hand, he was pretty damn bad. It looks like he was out of his depth in multiple occasions. There were 2 games where he was subbed out, if I'm not mistaken, in the first half, around the 30th minute or even before that, because of how bad he was. He didn't have a good season. He needs to probably take a step down, play for a lesser club, and develop, because it feels like he's stagnated or even has regressed over the past 2 to 3 seasons, even ever since he left Valencia. Yunus Musa doesn't seem to be developing his game or improving at all. I'm going to give Musa a 2 out of 10 this season. I can't give him a 1 because that's what I gave Matt Turner. I'll give him a 2 because at least he played, but it was pretty bad. Next up, we have Weston McKennie and Tim Weah from Juventus. And right away, I'm just going to tell you that I'm giving both of them the same rating. I'm giving them a 7 out of 10. Let me explain to you why. So Juventus was a mess this season. They even fired Thiago Motta halfway through the season. They were less of a mess than Milan, but still a mess, and they continued to practice soccer terrorism, unfortunately. Now Weah, he had the best season of his career. Played as a winger, fullback, wingback, had the most goal contributions he's ever had for club. He was really good, and he proved they can be a great defender. Now Weston McKennie was Mr. Consistent, versatile, and reliable for Juventus. He played as a midfielder, as a winger, as a wide midfielder, as a fullback, right back, left back. He played almost every single position. As I said before, he was going through more positions in 90 minutes than a horny couple with some wine with the Kama Sutra book, right? This guy was everywhere. I think the only position he might have not played was goalkeeper and center forward. He even played as a 10. For that reason, I thought both of them were very good this year. Not perfect, but very good, and I'm giving both of them a 7 out of 10. Maybe that's even a bit harsh. Maybe a 7.5 might even be more fair. Now, the problem here is Juventus will be playing the Club World Cup this summer, which means Tim Weah and Weston McKennie will not be available for the US men's national team in the 2025 Gold Cup. Last but not least, in Italy, we have Gianluca Busio from Venezia. And listen, at the time of this recording, Venezia seems to be escaping relegation. If they escape relegation, I'm going to bump Busio 1 point. If they don't escape relegation, I'm going to bump him down 1 point. I thought he had a decent season, average, had some good moments, some shaky moments, lost his starting spot at some point, gained it back. It was very brief. I'm giving Busio a 5 out of 10. But if they escape relegation, I'll bump him up to a 6 because he obviously helped them stay. Now, if they get relegated, I'm bumping him down to a 4. Now, before we continue, you're going to drop a like in this video to support the channel. Thank you very much for that. And we're going to put a quick word from the sponsor of this video, SoRare, and we'll be back in 60 to 90 seconds. Don't go anywhere. Do you collect sports cards? Do you play fantasy sports? Yes, no, maybe. If you said yes to any of that, I got something for you. And if you said no, you might still want to stick around. Tactical Manager TV is partnering up with SoRare with a special offer. The link will be in the description. In SoRare, you can collect your own virtual cards of your favorite players. And then you may be asking, why would I want to collect virtual cards? Well, you can line them up on 5-a-side games every single week. And if your players perform in real life, you can win actual money, signed jerseys, game tickets, or even more cards to improve your own club. And you can also get unique experiences like a friend of the channel, Thiago, that got to meet Zinedine Zidane. You know what's also cool? They also have the NBA and Major League Baseball. I'm mainly gonna just stick to soccer, but you do you. What I really like about SoRare, before we even partnered with them, is that they're unlike other fantasy games where you have to pay per play. In SoRare, you pay to get the players you want permanently as cards. And then you can play multiple times using those same cards, at least until the player retires, win rewards if your players perform in real life. You can also buy undervalued player cards for cheap, then hold, use them in the future when they improve or develop, and then you can even sell that card when its value goes up for better ones. Or just keep the money yourself. And if you use the link in the description of this video, you will get $50 in credit after buying your first 5 cards through auctions or instant buy at any prices. Play with responsibility. All right, enjoy. All right, we are back, and you definitely smashed the like button by now. So the next players will be the ones that play in the Bundesliga in Germany. The first one being Gio Reyna from Dortmund. Just like Matt Turner, I have to give Gio Reyna a 1. He did play more than Matt Turner, but even when Gio played, there were a few games where he looked good. He showed flashes of his talent, but for the most part, he wasn't great when he played, and most of the time, he didn't play. It's time for him to leave Dortmund, and it looks like he finally will leave Dortmund this summer. But, I mean, we got to call a spade, and Gio Reyna's season was a 1 out of 10. Now, if you want to be very generous and kind to Gio, you'll give him a 1.5, but I'm giving him a 1. Next up is Joe Scally from Borussia, not Dortmund. And I'm just going to call Joe Scally Mr. Consistent. He has been one of the most consistent US men's national team players abroad over the past 2 to 3 seasons. He helped Gladbach be a mid-table team, played most of their games as a fullback, right back, sometimes left back. I'm giving Joe Scally a 6.5 out of 10 this season. It was a solid season, nothing spectacular, but once again, reliable, getting a ton of minutes and holding his own in a top 5 league for a good team. Next up would have been Kevin Paredes from Wolfsburg, but this dude was injured all season long. He played like 2 games, barely, like 2 games. So I don't think it's fair to rate his season, because if you were to give him a rating, it has to be 1. The dude didn't play, but it was due to injury. It's unfortunate because we were hoping he would have a breakout season for Wolfsburg, and he didn't due to injuries. It was, I think, an ankle injury, then a hamstring injury now, whatever. So Kevin Paredes, if you want to rate his season, do it. Put it in the comment section down below. I'm going to skip him. The dude didn't play. But next up is Leonard Maloney from Mainz, also known as Leonard Baloney. And this one is a weird one, and not because of his name, Baloney. He did well for the first half of the season, and then he got a move in January, right when he went to Mainz. So he moved from Heidenheim to Mainz. That's definitely an upgrade when it comes to what club you play for. Mainz is a much better team, especially this season. So I guess for the first half, I'll give him a 6.5. Now, the second half of the season, when he was with Mainz, he barely played. He only played in the first half when he was with Heidenheim, and he was a locked-in starter. So the second half, I'll give him a 2.5. 2.5 plus 6.5, how much is that? 7 plus 2, that's a 9. And then you divide it by 2. Leonard Maloney gets a 4.5 out of 10. I mean, the second half of the season wasn't good from him. Next up would have been James Sands, but he got a move in January to the Bundesliga, and then he got injured a few games after, and just like Kevin Paredes, I'm not going to rate his season. If you want to, do it. I just don't really know how you would do it, but do whatever you want. So I'm going to talk about Noah Kai Banks from Augsburg, and this is what I'm going to say. The expectations this season for him were to not get any minutes, but he made his Bundesliga debut at age 18 as a center back, which is very tough. He held his own for every game that he played. It wasn't many. It was like, 4 or 5, or maybe a few more. Some as a sub, some as a starter. Every game, he looked fine. I'm going to give his season a 5 out of 10. Obviously, if you didn't have the context of him being a young prospect, it wasn't a good season. He didn't really do much. But it was a step in the right direction. So I'm giving Noah Kai Banks a 5 out of 10. Last but not least, in Germany, we have John Token from Holstein Kiel, and I'm going to give him a 5 out of 10, an average season. He moved to this team in January, and they got relegated in the Bundesliga. So technically right now, he's a Bundesliga 2 player. He got relegated. He's going to play in the second division. But the games I watched, he was fine. He actually played well. I would say he was among their best players. He came in January, became a starter right away. And I thought John Token did well. Now, will he stay and play in the second division of Germany? I don't know. But just rating his 6 months in the Bundesliga, I thought he held his own just fine. I thought he did well despite the team being complete ass. And I believe they finished even in last place. I'm giving Token a 5 out of 10. Now we're going to leave Germany and go to Spain so we can talk about Johnny Cardoso from Real Betis. And listen, Johnny was one of the best players for Real Betis this season, and it's no wonder that he's about to leave this summer, unless they make it to the Champions League. And at the time of this recording, they sit in 6th place in La Liga, and they are fighting for a Champions League spot. It's possible. We don't know if they're going to get it, but it is possible. They also have the Europa Conference League final where they're going to play Chelsea. That could be a nice trophy for Real Betis. So for those reasons, I'm giving Johnny a 7.5 out of 10 this season. Okay, time to leave Spain and go to France and talk about the Americans in Ligue 1. The first one being Folleting Balogun, and his season was not good. I'm a big Balogun fan. I'm a massive Balogun fan. Some say I'm even a Balogun show, but the season wasn't good, right? He had 4 goals in 13 games, if I'm not mistaken. He had 2 shoulder injuries that kept him out for months, but even when he played, the performances weren't good. Now, I can't give him a 1 or a 2 like a few other players that didn't play at all, but I'm going to give him a 2.5 out of 10. It was not a good season from Balogun. I think 2.5 is fair. He needs to bounce back. 2 seasons ago, when he wasn't with Monaco, he dropped over 20 goals in Liga, and that's what we want to see from him next season leading into the World Cup. But this year, it wasn't good, but he still is our best center forward. Next up, we have Mark McKenzie from Toulouse. And listen, Mark McKenzie had a good season. I'm giving him a 6 out of 10. But he would have gotten a much higher rating if he kept up how he was for the first, let's say 70% of the season. Toulouse had one of the best defenses in Liga, up to 70 to 75% of this season of the games played in Liga. But then they got a lot worse, defensively and just as a team in general. And that includes Mark McKenzie. It wasn't horrible, but he looked a lot worse. So for that reason, I'm not going to give him a 7 or 7.5. I'll give him a 6 out of 10. Last but not least, in France, we have Tanner Tessman from Lyon. And this is an interesting one because he had plenty of ups and downs this season. I thought he looked bad and he didn't get many touches when he played next to Matic. But when you put a guy that runs a lot next to him, Tanner Tessman flourishes. He has more time and space on the ball. He can pick a pass. He can hit long shots. He looked a lot better when he didn't have Matic next to him from the games that I watched. Remember, I didn't watch every single Lyon game, the ones that I watched. I'm going to give him a 5 out of 10. I thought it was an average season. Keep in mind that it was a new club, new country, new league for him. So overall, I guess the outlook or the future outlook is positive for Tanner. But for this specific season, I'm giving him a 5 out of 10. Okay, time to leave France and go to the Netherlands and talk about the Americans in the Eredivisie. Why don't we start the PSV boys? And there are 4 of them to talk about. Ricardo Pepi, Malik Tillman, Serginho Dest, and Richie Ledesma. Why don't we start with Malik Tillman? And I'm going to give his season a 9 out of 10. And yes, some of you might be saying I'm just rating him a bit too high. But when it comes to club performances, he was fantastic for PSV once again. And a big reason why they might actually win the Eredivisie after also Ajax bottled the league. And keep in mind, the drop-off for PSV when Tillman was injured was huge. And then he comes back and they're magically good once again. And these are 2 consecutive seasons where he gets over 20 goal contributions for them. And this year, he still got it despite the big injury that he had that kept him out for 2 months. So I'm giving Tillman a 9 out of 10. Ricardo Pepi was great until he had that knee injury and had to get surgery and was done for the season 2 to 3 months ago. He was even outperforming old man Luc de Jong a few moments this season, right? So he was scoring more goals per minute than Luc de Jong. For that reason, I'm actually giving Pepi an 8 out of 10. I thought Pepi was having a very good season until he got injured. Richie Ledesma, I'm giving him a 6 out of 10. He was reliable, definitely not average. I'll put him above average. For that reason, I'm giving Ledesma a 6 out of 10. He played mostly as a right back this season for PSV. And then the last one would be Serginho Dest. And Dest was out for most of the season with an ACL injury. He came back, then he had a minor muscle injury, and then he's back again. So I'm just happy that Dest is back. That's the thing. We needed him back, and we need him for the Gold Cup. And when he played, he looked fine. Not the same Dest that we're accustomed to. That'll take a few months for him to be himself once again. Maybe we'll see that during the summer. I'm giving Dest a 5 out of 10 because he also didn't look out of place or terrible once he returned. There were flashes of talent. He's very talented. I'm giving Dest a 5 out of 10. That might be harsh, but it's kind of hard to justify more than just average. I'm just happy that he's back. Last but not least, in the Netherlands, in the Eredivisie, we have Paxton Aronson from Utrecht. And for Paxton, I'm giving him an 8 out of 10. It was his breakout season in Europe with 15 goal contributions, mainly playing as a midfielder. When he played on the wing this year, he wasn't very good. But when he played as an 8 or as a 10 for Utrecht, he was great. But not just the 15 goal contributions. He showed great defensive work rate, press, everything. He was great for Utrecht, one of their best players, and maybe one of the best players in his position in the Eredivisie. So for that reason, I'm giving Paxton Aronson an 8 out of 10. Great season from Paxton, and he most certainly deserves a shot with the US men's national team this summer. Okay, now we're going to go to the second division of England, the EFL Championship. The first one being Josh Sargent from Norwich. And if you haven't already and you made it this far in the video, drop a like and a random comment in the comment section down below to rig the YouTube algorithm, or just give me your player ratings. Now, Sargent is very much known for being a lion for club and a kitty cat for country. But listen, I'm not judging his national team performances. We're only talking about club here. And for Norwich, once again, he had a good season. Despite missing 2 months of the season, he still got 20 goal contributions. Norwich kind of sucked, but Sargent was pretty good for them. So I'm going to give him a 7.5 out of 10. Next up is Brenden Aaronson from Leeds. And listen, his performances were meh. They were very much Brenden Aaronson-like. A lot of effort, mainly playing as a pressing 10 for them. A lot of effort, hustle, got a few goals here and there, did his thing, and he helped Leeds get promoted to the Premier League. And you gotta give him credit for that. It's not always pleasing to watch him play, but we have to give Brenden Aaronson credit where it's due. And for this season, we're gonna give him a 7 out of 10. Now, will he stay with Leeds for the Premier League? Will he be a starter for them in the Premier League? I think he'll stay. I don't think he'll be a starter, which is fine. He can be a decent player off the bench in the Premier League. Next up, we have Haji Wright from Coventry. So Haji wasn't as good as he was last season, mainly due to an ankle injury that kept him out for a little bit over 3 months. He still managed to get double-digit goal contributions, and Coventry almost got promoted. So for that reason, I'm going to give Haji Wright a 7 out of 10. Next up is Ethan Horvath from Cardiff City, a team from Wales, the country Wales. And I'm going to give Ethan Horvath a 2 out of 10. He did get minutes because the starting goalkeeper got injured, but he's not starting for a club that got relegated to the 3rd division. And he only played because the starting goalkeeper got injured. When he played, he was okay. He wasn't bad for them, but I can't give him more than a 2 out of 10. Next up is Aiden Morris from Middlesbrough, and I thought Aiden had a 6 out of 10 season. He was fine. He was definitely above average, but nothing spectacular for Middlesbrough. I thought he was just good, slightly above average, but I'll say this, it's his first season abroad, so it was positive. Yeah, let's just put it as a net positive. Last but not least in England, we have Caleb Wiley from Watford. Now, Caleb Wiley started the season in France, right? He belongs to Chelsea, and he was loaned out to Strasbourg, where he got minutes early on, and then he had a shoulder injury, and they just left him out. Like, he was out, Chelsea recalled him from the loan, and then they loaned him out to Watford in the EFL Championship, where he missed the first, month or two due to the shoulder injury, came back, played for them, and honestly, he looked pretty good in the EFL Championship. However, I cannot give his season more than a 5 out of 10. It's encouraging, and it looks like he'll be just fine if he plays in the EFL Championship and he'll continue to develop, but there's nothing there for me to give him more than just an average season. However, he is a prospect that I have very high expectations, and I do think he can fight for that backup left back spot. I don't think he'll get to the level of an Anthony Robinson, but he can definitely be the backup. Okay, now to close the video, we're going to go to Scotland and talk about 2 Americans, Cameron Carter-Vickers and Austin Trusty from Celtic, even though I didn't really want to rate them just because it's been hard to take the Scottish League seriously these days. But, I mean, look, I'll put it this way. Celtic won the league once again, whatever. Cameron Carter-Vickers was mostly good. He's probably the best center back in the league for whatever that's worth. Austin Trusty was okay. He had some shaky moments. He even got benched at one point and then became a starter again. But he was a starter for most of the season. I'll give Carter-Vickers a 7 out of 10. But again, you get extra points just for playing well in the Scottish League. I don't know if that's even relevant. It's literally a league that's probably worse than MLS. And I'm just going to give Austin Trusty a 5 out of 10. Yeah, let's be real. Carter-Vickers should probably have left Celtic by now. All right, everyone, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to drop a like before you go. Thank you for supporting our US men's national team abroad season. all season long, right? Thank you very much for that. We'll be back with the series in August or September, whenever the European season is back. However, now is where the fun starts, when the U.S. men's national team actually plays. And we're going to be doing a full coverage of the U.S. men's national team this summer, the 2 friendlies against Switzerland and Turkey, and then the entire Gold Cup, transfers, and much more, along with possibly some World Cup videos, because we are roughly, 1 year away from the 2026 World Cup, which is the biggest World Cup in U.S. men's national team history. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. Don't forget to follow us on the TST this summer. We're going to talk about that as it approaches, as we fight for $1 million in Cary, North Carolina. I want to thank you all very much for watching, and have a great day.